indices. So I really like indices questions. Don't judge me. Anyway, but just a quick reminder of what I actually mean whenever I'm saying indices. So indice is just, or an index is just a fancy word for a power on a number, and you're maybe more familiar. That's a more commonly used word. So if I was reading this out loud, I would read it as 5 to the power of 7. And whenever we're dealing with indices or powers, these are the words that we need to be aware of. So the big number is called the base, and then the 7 here is either the power or the index. And it's very easy to misinterpret this. An awful lot of people will think that means 5 multiplied by 7. Of course, they're wrong. So 5 to the power of 7 means that you're multiplying 5 by itself 7 times. So 5 to the power of 7 means this. Okay, so I've written out the rules that we need to know. Now this can look a little bit overwhelming whenever you first glance at it, but with practice you will get there, and it does sort of become instinctual with enough practice. Okay, yeah, anyway, so general rules like this can be quite tricky to understand, but whenever you see them with actual numbers, hopefully they'll start to make sense. So if you're multiplying two numbers like this together and pay attention to the base numbers, these rules only work if the base numbers are the same. So see the way these are both x's, so x to the power of a multiplied by x to the power of b. This rule only works if they're both the same, if those two x's are the same as each other. Right, so if you're multiplying numbers with powers, then all you have to do is add the powers together. So x to the power of a multiplied by x to the power of b, you can rewrite that as x to the power of a plus b, and I'll be showing you that in some of the examples that we're doing here in a minute. Next rule, x to the power 9 divided by, well, that should be an a, that's my bad handwriting, so x to the power of a divided by x to the power of b. If you're dividing, you take away the powers, so you can rewrite that as x to the power of whatever a minus b is. Little sneaky rule, anything, absolutely anything to the power of 0 gives you 1. X to the power of minus a, you can rewrite as 1 over x to the power of a. So a negative power means you just stick it on the bottom line. X to the power of a to the power of b, you can rewrite as x to the power of a multiplied by b. Now, whenever I would be doing this in class, and whenever your teacher was maybe doing this in class, you'd maybe just write that as ab, same thing. I just wanted to put the multiply in here to show the rule. And then if there's another number in the bracket, so I've just called that p, if there's another number in the bracket, the power also applies to it. So px to the power of a to the power of b. And the brackets are important here because the brackets tell us that everything here is to the power of b, whereas say if we were to think just about that px to the power of a, that power of a doesn't apply to the p, it's only the x that has the power of a on it. So the brackets there are very important, and it's ones like this where people can make silly mistakes. So if the power is on the outside of the brackets, it means this power applies to everything in the bracket. Anyway, that gives you p to the power of b, x to the power of, and then here you have to apply this rule, so a multiplied by b. So we've got out a few examples here that we're going to work our way through. So for questions 1 to 6, all we're being asked to do is to simplify these things, which means gather your terms together. So number 1, 20a to the power of 6 divided by 4a squared. I would always deal with the numbers first of all. So 20 divided by 4 gives me 5. A to the power of 6 divided by a to the power of 2. Well, that's applying this rule here. So if I'm dividing numbers which have the same base, then I can subtract the powers. So a to the power of 6 divided by a to the power of 2 is going to be a to the power of 6 minus 2, which is 4. So I do these in like little steps. Okay, number 2, 6y to the power of 4 multiplied by 3y to the power of 6. Numbers first, 6 multiplied by 3 gives me 18. Y to the power of 4 multiplied by y to the power of 6. Whenever I'm multiplying, I add the powers together. So that gives me y to the power of 4 plus 6. is 10. Okay. Number 3, 45x to the power 6 divided by 5x. I'll do numbers first. 45 divided by 5 is 9. X to the power 6 divided by x. Remember, if there's no power on something, really it's to the power of 1. So that's going to be x to the power of 6 take away 1 gives me 5. Number 4, 2n all cubed means that this cubed applies to the 2 as well. So 2 cubed is 8, and then n cubed. Number 5, a half x all squared. So the squared applies to the half and to the x. So a half squared is a half times a half gives you a quarter. X squared. N to the power of minus 2 cubed is going to be n to the power of minus 6. Whenever you've got this going on, remember you multiply the powers, and we can rewrite that as 1 over n to the power of 6. Now, for 7, 8 and 9, I have asked you to find the value of these things rather than just simplify. So this could have been worded as calculate. So pay attention to the wording in questions, because sometimes they're asking you just to simplify things, sometimes they're asking you to actually go ahead and find the value of it. And you can make silly mistakes that way. Whenever you actually know what you're doing, you're just not reading the question properly. So 17 to the power 0 plus 18 to the power 0. Well, remember, anything to the power 0 is 1, so that is really 1 plus 1 gives us 2. 8, 7 take away 4, all to the power of 3. So, because this can be simplified, if you think back to bid maths, do things in the brackets first. So 7 take away 4 is 3. So that really just means 3 cubed, which is 27. And then for number 9, 4 to the power of minus 3, if I rewrite that as 1 over 4 to the power 3, or 1 over 4 cubed, then that's going to be 1 over 4 cubed. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. So 1 over 64. Okay, so some people love doing these questions, some people get a little bit confused on them. The best thing you can do once you have, once you've got the rules in your head, the best thing you can do is lots and lots of practice. I would start off, if I was you, with these rules sitting out in front of me. So write them out the same way I have, and have these sitting right beside you, and then work through the exercises on it. Okay? See you in the next one. Bye!